You ever find yourself thinking about a perfect world? A place with zero conflict, no poverty, just complete harmony? Well, that dream has a name, Utopia. And today, we're going to meet the absolutely brilliant and pretty complicated mind who first put that dream down on paper, Sir Thomas More. So we all know this word, right? Utopia. It's our go-to word for a perfect society, an ideal world where everything just works. It's this incredible vision of flawless harmony and happiness. But have you ever stopped to think about where this idea actually came from? I mean, it didn't just pop out of nowhere. It was carefully, brilliantly crafted by one man living in a really turbulent time. And it was a direct response to the crazy world he saw all around him. So let's meet him. Let's meet the original architect of Utopia. Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, the man behind Utopia. We're about to meet a genuine Renaissance figure, a man whose ideas would literally echo for centuries to come. So here's a quick look at his life. He was born in London way back in 1478. In 1516, he publishes his masterpiece, Utopia. And then, get this, in 1535, he was executed. Yeah, this tells you right away this wasn't just some philosopher locked in an ivory tower. This was a man whose ideas and principles put him on a collision course with the most powerful people of his day, and it ended up costing him his life. So who exactly was this guy? Well, Thomas More was the definition of a Renaissance man. He was a top-tier humanist scholar, a really sharp lawyer, and he climbed the political ladder all the way to become a close advisor to the infamous King Henry VIII. On top of all that, he was a hugely influential writer and was good friends with intellectual giants like Erasmus. I mean, this guy wasn't just watching from the sidelines. He was right there, at the absolute center of power and ideas in his time. And it was from that very spot, right at the heart of a very flawed world, that he dreamed up a perfect one. Which brings us to Section 2, Inside the Perfect Island. Let's really unpack what was going on in his book, Utopia. Okay, so here's what's so cool about this book. Utopia wasn't just some fantasy novel or a daydream. No way. It was a razor-sharp critique of his own world. More was looking at all the corruption, the greed, the injustice of 16th century Europe, and basically using this fictional island to hold up a giant mirror to society. This slide really lays it all out. On the left, you've got the Europe that More knew. Corrupt, greedy, and often incredibly violent. And on the right, his alternative. So instead of massive inequality, he imagined communal property. Instead of constant religious wars, he proposed tolerance. Every single detail of Utopia was designed as a direct answer, a solution, to a real-world problem he saw every single day. For his time, this wasn't just a different idea. It was a radical, almost unthinkable vision. So the key takeaway here is this. More designed an entire system. He wasn't just wishing for people to be nicer. He was actually drawing up the blueprint for a whole new society, this imaginary island with a completely different, and in his mind, perfect, political, social, and economic structure. But his impact goes way beyond just this one revolutionary book. He also helped shape the very language we're speaking right now. And that brings us to Section 3, a writer's lasting influence. Let's look at his impact beyond the island of Utopia. You have to remember, before More and writers like him, most of the serious scholarly writing in England was actually done in Latin. More was part of this huge shift that helped make early modern English a language that could handle complex, sophisticated thought. So what made his writing so special? Well, it really came down to a few key things. His writing was incredibly clear and logical. He'd built his arguments step by step, making them easy to follow. He also had this sense of balance and structure, which was inspired by classical Latin, and it gave the English language this whole new level of polish for tackling big ideas. And man, his writing covered a huge range of topics. As a humanist, he wrote about education and rational thinking. As a political figure, he took on social justice. And as a deeply religious man, he wrote passionate defenses of his Catholic faith. But if you look across all of it, you see this one consistent thread, a really deep commitment to strong ethical principles. And all of this brings us to our final section, the unattainable dream. It's time to step back and reflect on the really complicated legacy of this idea that More unleashed on the world. So, here we are, 500 years after he first imagined it, and we're left with this fascinating question, one that More himself probably wrestled with.
Is the whole idea of utopia a noble goal, something we should always be striving for? Or is it a dangerous warning, a reminder that the relentless, obsessive pursuit of perfection can actually lead to its own kind of nightmare? That's something to think about.